Hey Bulldog fans, welcome into this week's edition of the Student Athlete Spotlight presented by Coca-Cola. I'm John Maxfus today, joined by fifth-year catcher on the Samford baseball team, Kaden Dreier. Kaden, exciting times for the baseball team, headed to Auburn this weekend for a regional. Appreciate you making some time and stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, let's go straight into the Saturday tripleheader to win the Southern Conference Championship. Certainly it was not expected to be that way. I don't think anyone expected to have to watch or in your case play in 3 games in one day, but obviously the weather changes the whole schedule up. You guys start a day early, Saturday comes around, and you've got to win 3 elimination games to get that automatic berth. When did it first kind of pop up on your radar that, oh man, there is a potential that we're going to play 3 baseball games in one day?
Right, so we were originally supposed to play our first game Friday morning, and then they started moving every game up, and we had to play Thursday evening. And we didn't really think about it much. Obviously, being the 1 seed, you don't want to think about what happens if you lose. I think before we played Wofford, we knew that there was a chance that could happen, but we wanted to focus on winning. So I believe Coach David actually mentioned it or something like that, but we found out after the Wofford game, hey, you're going to have to play 3 games tomorrow, and by the way, the first game is at 8 a.m. It definitely kicked us while we were down, but it also gave us some hope in the fact that we could set some program history. So,
had you ever played 3 games in a day at any level?
Probably when I was like 10 years old. Yeah, I don't think no time in recent history, but.
What's running through your mind between games? I mean, do you guys even have time to kind of process what's happening, or is it just you're getting straight into getting ready for the next one?
Right. I think just kind of heading straight into the next one. I think in some ways, as much as it was not fun, it kind of helped us out, being able to keep momentum from one game to the next, especially with Wofford. They obviously lost 2 games last year, so one thing Coach David preached was if you hop on them early, maybe some of that doubt will creep back into their mind. And so I think that's just what we try to do. We took care of UNCG early in the morning and then try to hop on Wofford early, and one inning just turned in the next inning, and the next thing you knew, it was over.
Yeah, I mean, I think watching you guys not just play but win 3 games in one day is probably one of the most impressive things I've seen. But on top of that, I mean, you caught every single pitch of that triple header. So, I mean, you're in the squat behind home plate for probably 3.5, 4 hours that day. I mean, you've got to be feeling it by game 3, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's different because they were all win or go home games. So game 1 was just a regular game. Still the 3rd game of the weekend, even though it was the first game of the day. So I was at least used to that. But then after that, it's still win or go home. So you're not thinking about it too much because that could also be the last game, or in my case, the last game of my career. So I try not to think about it too much. But as the games just kept going along, I played catch with Jacob Newman, who started the 2nd game, just a little bit. By the time the 3rd game started, I didn't play catch with Heath Clevenger at all or warm him up in the pen. I stood down there and I watched him, but I didn't get back behind the plate or anything like that before the game.
Well, when you look at the pitching staff this year, I mean, there are a million reasons that you guys could have folded or given up, right? You have a lot of injuries. Michael Ross never throws a pitch. Carson Hobbs goes down pretty early in the season. Alex Goff goes down the first weekend of the season. But obviously for you, a big part of your job is working with the pitching staff, and you guys have had some guys step up into bigger roles, both in the rotation and in the bullpen. Saturday was a great example. Guys like Newman and Clevenger pitching some fantastic baseball and holding a good Wofford team off the scoreboard. I mean, how important is it for you, and how much do you love that aspect of it, working with these pitchers and kind of developing them?
It kind of made Saturday a little bit more sweet, I think. Obviously, you don't want anybody to get hurt, and it probably would have been a little bit easier with all of our dudes still on the mound, but I think it made Saturday that much sweeter because it kind of was more of a team effort, and kind of what you think about ultimate goals of teams is everybody to kind of play their part. And I just can't say enough about all the guys that, stepped up, just like Newman and Heath did. It really speaks volumes as to how each guy wants to contribute and for an overall goal. And to see it kind of come to fruition was really awesome.
You are definitely the veteran on this team at this point, right? You're a 5th-year guy. This is going to be your 2nd regional appearance. Obviously, Saturday's got to be probably the highlight of your time here, right? It's hard to top that. But what are some other moments and takeaways for you just during your 5 years here at Samford?
There's a lot here. I think so. That was actually my 4th championship. So my freshman year, we won the regular season. We had 40-something wins, I believe. So we won the regular season there. And then sophomore year was COVID, but we still had a really good team. I believe we were 13-2 or something like that. So really high ceiling for that team. Unfortunate that season had to end. But then with all those seniors coming back for my junior year, and we win the conference tournament for my 2nd championship, that was just having those 2 rings was kind of unbelievable for me. And then coming out this year and, like you said, losing a lot of key pieces and still winning the regular season along with the tournament, it's just kind of indescribable. And one thing just kind of leads to another, and you don't think about it as it's going on. And that's just kind of one thing that I've realized coming towards the end of my career is how much of a blur everything's been. It's kind of like just one game and survive and move on. And now looking back on it, I wouldn't change anything.
Well, when you look at the regional, obviously it's a good regional, right? You guys are going to have Southern Miss in the first game. They're a really good team. Probably could have been a host school. Auburn is obviously a really good team, and they've got Penn on their side of the regional. So just looking ahead, Southern Miss is obviously the game you're focused on right now because you know you're playing them. What do you guys know about the Golden Eagles?
We know it's going to be a great game. Obviously, it takes a lot to get to this point, so we know there's not going to be a whole lot of games where you just run out there and you end up winning. Coach David has preached this week that it's going to be a lot of pitchers duels and it's going to come down to execution, which a lot of it is just kind of how the conference tournament is. It's a lot of just execution and which team is going to be better that day. So we're really looking forward to it, but we know it's definitely going to be a challenge. But as I said a little bit earlier, playing 3 games in one day, I think we know we're up for pretty much anything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Kaden, we're going to end with some rapid fire questions. Some about you, some about your teammates.
Awesome.
Any pregame rituals?
Pre-game rituals, I kind of do the same thing after BP. I go up and I lay in the indoor, and then I do the same steps to getting ready for a game. I'll come down, put on my eye black, and then I'll put on my tape, and then I'll put on my cleats.
If you played another sport, what would it be?
Definitely football. Love football.
Did you play football?
I did. I played football in high school.
What big leaguer do you model yourself after the most?
Catcher, I'm a Royals fan, so I love Salvador Perez, but I like to watch Mike Trout hit.
Do you know how many career starts you have in your time at Samford?
Senior day, they said, I'm going to guess 180.
You are right on the head, 180. Pretty impressive. Would you rather throw out a runner or hit a walk-off home run?
Walk-off home run.
If you could time travel, where and when would you go?
I'd definitely go watch a baseball game. Probably, I have a picture of it in my room, but the George Brett Pine Tar game, I'd love to go back, and I'd love to see that in person.
That's a fun choice.
Yeah.
All right, so if a movie was going to be made on what happened on Saturday, who's going to play you in the movie?
Regular movie, I'd love to say Seth Rogen.
That's a great call. That's a great call.
But an athletic movie, I don't know who would play me in it.
Seth Rogen is a perfect answer.
Seth
to that
Rogen.
question,
We'll
though.
say it's still
Yeah.
Seth Rogen.
What's your dream job after baseball?
Dream job after baseball. I still want to work in athletics. If I could do something with maybe front office or something like that, or even for football, an NFL team or something like that, I'd love to do that as well.
All right, moving on to your teammates. Who has got the best and the worst taste in music?
A lot of times on the way to the games, Joe Salvo will play music and we'll all tell him next song, but it just keeps coming, so definitely Joe Salvo.
Who's got the best and worst fashion sense on the team?
Andrew Bennett for sure.
For best or worst?
Worst.
Worst.
Worst, Andrew Bennett. Best, I don't even know who has the best,
Nobody.
to be honest. No, but I know Bennett definitely has the worst.
Okay. Who's the most superstitious?
Probably me.
Really?
I'm very superstitious.
What pitcher would make the best catcher?
Dominic Ganley.
Okay.
He loves it. He loves the catch.
All right, who on the team would win the Hunger Games?
Probably Stephen Klein.
Okay.
Really gritty guy.
Who's just getting eliminated right away?
Eliminated right away. Probably Blake Bortak. He's allergic to a lot of things.
Okay. All right, Kaden, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for stopping by, and good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Samford kicking things off in the Auburn Regional against Southern Miss, 1 p.m. on Friday. Tickets still available. That'll do it for this edition of the Student Athlete Spotlight presented by Coca-Cola.